Hey everybody, it's Mom of Two, Wife of One, and welcome back to my channel. Jeez. So, if you guys read the title, you know that we are here to talk about episode 2 of season 14 of Married at First Sight. First, I want to say that today is January 13th, 2022, and before I go on, I just want to wish a happy Founders Day to the women of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I am not Greek, but my mother is a Delta, and I have a lot of Delta friends, so I just wanted to wish you guys a happy Founders Day before I started the video. So, love you guys. Mwah, mwah, mwah. So, before I get into the episode from last night, I hope that you guys remember to like my page, remember to share the video, comment, click the notification bell, subscribe, do all of that stuff, and comment especially. I love talking to you guys about the show and about the couples. So one thing I will say about this show, if you don't know the premise of Married at First Sight, I did explain it in my first video, so pause this video, open up a new tab of YouTube, and go look at the video that I posted last week to hear about how Married at First Sight works, if you're unfamiliar with it. It comes on Lifetime Wednesdays at 8 p.m., and I try to do a review and recap every single week on my channel, so yeah, there we go. But one thing I will say about the show is that they are the kings and queens of stretching something out. For this season, we had the matchmaking episode where we saw all three experts meeting with all the different potential people to weed out who's ready for marriage and who's not. We had the episode where they chose the people and they went and told them that they're getting married and they told their friends and family. And we had the episode, which I guess was technically last week, where one couple got married. And we had an episode last night where two couples got married. So all in all, we're talking about 7 hours of television, and we only saw 3 of 5 couples get married. There is no way that that should be the case, but they rope us in every week. They keep us here so we can see the dresses and we can see the reaction when they see their mate at the altar and all that good stuff. So it works because I still watched all 2 hours last night. What I will say is I think that what they should do, and this is not what they did last night was supposed to be the weddings of two couples, the two black couples, and we did get to see that. However, we also got to see glimpses of the other 3 couples. So the one couple that got married last week, they showed them a little bit at the reception, and then the other 2 couples, they showed them shopping for their dresses and their tuxes. My personal opinion, if you're not one of the couples getting married on that night, then the footage of you looking for your wedding dress with your bridesmaids and with your family and getting all nervous and jittery while you prepare for the wedding, that footage should be saved for the night when you get married or the night when they show your wedding on TV. Having all that stuff last night was like, I came here to see 2 couples. I don't need to see all 5 of you. So I thought that was a bit of overkill, and that obviously made the episode last a lot longer than it really should have. So I wasn't a big fan of that, and that's just my critique. But I want to talk first about the couples that did not get married, because I have a lot more notes for the ones that did get married. So for the couple that got married last week, Lindsay and Mark, they showed them last week they showed them getting married and then showed them having a conversation after the wedding. Tonight it was about taking pictures with their family, going to the reception, having their first dance. Lindsay is very loud. She's opinionated. She for sure does not think before she speaks, and I'm pretty sure she's already drunk before the wedding even started. She admitted to having, I think, 2 bottles of champagne with her girls before the wedding. So she's been tipsy for a nice little minute at this point. And she doesn't have a filter. Between the 2 of them, they have 5 cats. And one thing she said was, the good news is his are close to death. I'm glad she didn't say that to him, but I'm like, what kind of thing is that to say? Mark brought up a good point, though, because they both are very high energy, but he's noticed that she's a lot more high energy than he is. Like, she's very kind of quick-witted and quick with the comebacks, and so they're laughing a lot, and they're having a good time and everything, so he's excited about her, and he is, they're attracted to each other, and I think he definitely appreciates her excitement. But one thing he brought up was, I've been with women before who have been high energy, and the problem with that is that I never got to see the softer side of them, which I think is very key. Because it's one thing to say, I'm an extrovert, I'm loud, I'm silly, I'm goofy. It's fine to be that way normally, but when it's time to be serious, or it's time to be loving, or it's time to be caring, or whatever your spouse needs in that moment, Are you able to tone back your stuff to give them what they need? Are you able to not necessarily be on 10, but maybe bring it down to like a 5 so that you can give them what they need? Because sometimes all that high energy, even though Mark has that high energy too, because of all the stuff he has going on with his family, he has a mom that's in rehab, a grandmother that has dementia. He has a lot of stuff on his plate. So there may be days when he comes home where he's emotionally worn out and he's mentally exhausted, and he's going to need kind of that quiet space to really just veg out and not really think about anything. And it's not going to require someone who's constantly like, blah, 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 blah. So he hasn't mentioned that concern to her, obviously, because he's like, I'm still getting to know her. And so there hasn't been a moment for me to see that side of her yet, because this is the wedding. At the wedding, you're supposed to be high energy. You're supposed to be excited. And you're supposed to, be happy and goofy and all that stuff. So for right now, the energy matches the event. But hopefully she does know how to tone things down. Only time will tell. But I know that they purposely ask the couples questions like that on their wedding day, so that as the viewer, we can kind of squirrel that away in our heads like, will that be a problem later? And who knows, that may be a storyline later on in the season that, oh, she's just not serious. But, time will tell. We'll see. I did like their sweetheart table. The way they got married, well, all of them got married, is somewhere on the water in Boston, which I guess is, probably a bunch of water places in Boston. But it was really, really pretty. So the water was behind them at the sweetheart table. I thought that was very pretty. Like I said, they found each other very attractive. They easily laughed together, which I think is great. One thing that she's so crass, they're taking pictures with their family, and her friends are like, oh, you're comfortable? She's like, oh, yeah, girl, I took my shoes off. She's like, trust me, give me another hour and the underwear's coming off too. It's like, okay, I understand you're being like silly with your friends, but like his family's there. You don't know if they're conservative. It just seemed kind of weird. And then she made another comment when she talks about all the cats that they have, and she was like, I don't know, that's a lot of pussies in one house. It's like a couple things. One, obviously you need to tone down, like that wasn't necessary. And two, the fact that Lifetime let that word fly, I was like, oh, I was kind of shocked by that. Lifetime isn't really known for having that kind of language. I was quite caught off guard by that. But that's all the notes I had for them, because they didn't talk about them a lot. They had their first dance, which seemed to be very smooth, and it was okay. They always build up a lot of times on the show that the first dance and when the couple takes their pictures with their family and friends, that's always very awkward. Because not only did you just marry this person, you're actually wearing the ring on their finger, and this person is your husband or your wife. Now you have to have this person have their arms around you, or have to look at them adoringly in the camera. You have to, having a slow dance is an intimate thing. So having your arms around their neck or around their waist, and you're slow dancing, and you don't know if that person has rhythm, and as a woman you're supposed to be following the man when you're dancing, but that may be awkward for you too. Like, it's normally really awkward, but they seem to be okay. They were gliding and it seemed to be no issues. So I don't know what's going to happen with them. Lindsay, I can already tell, is going to be annoying very, very quickly, but we shall see. Another couple that did not get married last night was Noi and Steve. So Noi she was born at a refugee camp in Laos. Steve is the only one in his family that is not married, and he also is unemployed right now. So there were a lot of talk. I'm on a group chat with my mother and my uncles about this show, and my aunt, and it's hilarious hearing their commentary. And actually my husband chimes in every once in a while too. So they all say that it's not fair to have a man with no job on the show. It's not fair to her because, again, when these people find out they're getting married, they don't know anything about the person they're marrying except their ring size. So the fact that she's up at the altar saying I do, maybe kissing, getting married, and then afterwards talking to him, she finds out later he's not employed. So now she's like, I just married somebody who ain't got no job. Now, granted, Steve has money, because even though he's unemployed, he just came from like a 4-month road trip. So it's like you have to have some money saved up in order to do that. I don't know how much money, but I get the impression that he was smart with his money. He's saved. He's in a good shape. And he said before, like, I'm very employable. It's not like he got fired because he did some shady stuff. He was laid off during the pandemic like a lot of people were, like I was. So hopefully he makes that a priority. But for them last night, it was about them looking for the wedding dress and looking for the tux and continuing to talk to their family and friends about what they're going through, how they're excited or they're nervous. I hope this works out, blah, 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 blah. So that's pretty much it for them. Because again, they just kind of showed snapshots of these people just to say they showed them last night. I thought that was unnecessary. Alyssa and Chris. So they're the other couple that did not get married last night. Well, I will say about Alyssa, I don't think I'm feeling her. And granted, she said and done absolutely nothing to like paint herself in this bad way. But I just get the impression that she is going to be either mean, boring, or really stuck up. And, you know, unfortunately, we've seen quite a few women come through the show who have one or more of these characteristics. And it never bodes well for them, doesn't bode well for their partner. They are the people who come into this saying that they want a husband, but not necessarily that they want a marriage. Because a marriage means that both of you come in with, you know, something to offer. Both of you come in willing to love somebody, willing to have somebody put a mirror to your face and show you your flaws in a loving way. And, you know, you both come in willing to make changes, willing to make sacrifices. I don't get the impression that she's the kind of person that's going to want to make any of those sacrifices. I could be wrong. Obviously, I don't know her, but I don't know. It's something about her that I'm like, I don't know. And one thing he said that I didn't like either, and it wasn't reflective of him as a person, but I guess reflective of how he's viewing marriage. He said, if she doesn't like me, then I'll know it's because I need to change and grow. But that's not always what it means. If you go into a marriage and the person, especially something like this, and the person does not like you, that doesn't always mean that there is something wrong with you. Now, granted, you have to take what they're saying under advisement, and you have to really listen to them when they say they don't like you, or they don't like an aspect of you, they don't like a personality trait of you. You really have to kind of listen to that and really kind of dig deep to figure out what exactly they're saying. Because that doesn't necessarily mean that there's something wrong with him and that he needs to grow and change. It could mean that that person needs to change their own expectations, or they need to adjust themselves. So I don't like that he's already going into this believing that, okay, I'm ready to make all the changes and the sacrifices. What should be happening is that you guys are both ready to change and grow together. So that doesn't really bode well for me, I don't think. And also with his personality, he basically is going into this marriage because he doesn't like being lonely. He's looking at this from a very analytical standpoint and not an emotional standpoint. And I feel like because of that, he's going to focus on all of the boxes that she checks off. And he's not going to focus on how she makes him feel, which is very key in a marriage. I mean, you want someone who checks off those boxes that you have in your head. You know, obviously we want someone who is nice, who's kind to their parents, who's intelligent, who works hard, who's all of those things. And so there's nothing wrong with having your list in your head. But at the same token, like, you have to make sure your heart is open to receiving all of them. And I don't know if that's going to happen with him. I feel like this is like a checklist for him. But again, we'll see. So now we're going to move on to the couples that got married last night. I'm going to start with Michael and Jasmina. Jasmina is gorgeous. I really liked her dress. I loved her eye makeup. Not that it matters, but I thought her eye makeup was absolutely beautiful. She seems, at least in all the interviews that she's done for the show, and even the interview she did last night, she seems very serious. I want someone who's not about playing games, and I just want someone who's on the same page as me, which isn't bad. But with everybody else, we got to see kind of the silly side at times. We got to see them dancing with their friends. I felt like we didn't see a lot of that with Jasmina. It was a lot of just kind of, this is what I want, and then being emotional, being scared, being nervous, but not really a lighter side. So I was really happy that when they did get married, we got to see her lighter side at the altar. The first words she said to him were, after she said, hi, I'm Jasmina, the next thing she said to him was, do you come here often? I was like, oh, okay, we get to see that side of her. And I know she probably said it out of nervousness, but it was really good that she got to, that at least for me as a viewer, I got to see that she's a little lighter and she can laugh at herself and she can be a little more chill. Because at first I thought she was going to be a little too intense. But it was good to see a different side of her. I like that when Michael first saw her, he said wow under his breath. So he's very attracted to her, and he's kind of said a lot in his interviews after they got married that, oh my gosh, she's so gorgeous and she's beautiful, and I feel the chemistry right away. And my mom pointed out that she said she feels a spark of chemistry. So my mother believes that means that she's not attracted to him at all. And my husband thinks that Michael has a funny shaped head. I personally, I don't think he's unattractive. I think he has a very pretty smile. I think that, I mean, he looks fine. I don't have a problem with him. I think he looks fine. I think that even if she doesn't think he's drop dead gorgeous, and she hasn't said that she finds him unattractive just yet, I think that through knowing him and talking to him that the attraction is going to grow. I think that Jasmina is one of those people who's going to allow that to happen. There have been a lot of people in the show who they've allowed attraction to kind of halt them in their tracks when it comes to the process. Because the process of Married at First Sight can work if you do the things that are necessary to make your marriage work. When it comes to attraction, obviously that is important, like no one's denying that. But if you're not immediately attracted to the person, some people on the show, as soon as that happens, they're like, oh, this isn't the person for me, that's it, and they refuse to try. And other people will be like, okay, the attraction may not be there right now, but we were matched for a reason. Let me continue to get to know this person to figure out why we're matched. And once you start learning this person and you start understanding how you guys are connected and you start focusing on how that person is treating you as opposed to how they look, that attraction naturally grows. And I feel like Jasmina is one of those people that is going to allow things to happen the way they need to happen. She's going to allow things to take their course. She's going to take her time. She's going to be patient with the process, and she's going to allow the process to work. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to work, but I think Jasmina is at least going to give it a shot. I think she's going to give it a very solid chance, is my personal opinion. And also I like that in her vows, she said, I knew from the first time I saw you, you were the one. I thought that was really cute. And let's see, they both want children and they both want to build their families. They both come from very big families. She's one of 9. He's one of like 6 or 7. So that alone means that family is very, very important to both of them. And I think that's going to be great. I thought the conversation was really cute. Their first conversation, they talked about, it just felt like a typical first date. It's like, oh, what time do you go to bed? And oh, you don't watch this TV show? You don't like that TV show? I can't believe, like, it seemed very just light. There was no pressure. It didn't feel like a husband and wife necessarily. It felt like two people who just kind of met up for coffee on a blind date and we're just going to talk about random stuff. But I liked it because I think that, you know, once you're married, you're going to learn all these little things out anyway. But it was cute to just hear them just talking. And again, I talked about how when people take pictures on the show, sometimes it's awkward for them. His hand immediately went around her waist. They were already looking in each other's eyes, and they just seemed very at ease with each other. And so I like them together. I think they look good together. One thing I thought was really interesting that I've never seen before, because I jumped the broom at my wedding. And for those of you who don't know the history of jumping the broom at weddings, Google it. It's a traditionally. It's something that took place with slaves back in the day, obviously. But one thing I never saw before is that before they jumped over the broom, the minister had them both put their hands on the broom and then sweep. I was like, oh, I like that. And he said some deep stuff along with it. But I was like, huh, I like that. That was really cute. But I thought their wedding was nice. Like I said, I love to dress. I love their eye makeup. I thought they looked really cute together. I know a lot of people are harping on his height. I don't know how tall Michael is, but they kept hyping it up, especially my uncle. He kept hyping it up to make it seem like Michael was like a foot like shorter than Jasmina. But when they're standing beside each other at the altar, they're the exact same height. And I know she was wearing heels, so he's taller than her. So I don't know if it's because of the way he's built he looks shorter, or the way she's built, because she's very slim and very straight line. Like, she doesn't really have curves. She's a very straight line, lean body, and very long straight weave. So it makes her look taller than she probably is. But I don't think height's going to be a problem. There's a couple people online talking about it too. I'm like, this man is not necessarily short. So, but I thought they looked cute together. You know, obviously we'll see what happens. I also love that he wore a little pin on his lapel that was a pink ribbon for breast cancer, because his mother or his grandmother passed away from breast cancer. So I thought that was really sweet. But yeah, so I like their wedding. I like them together. I'm hoping that they make it work. Now, Juan and Katina. So, this is a couple I said I don't think is going to make it. Juan, so he picked out his tux, and his family basically warned him that, hey, and that's the thing, I feel like his family are they love him and they're very supportive of him, but I can say they all have their doubts about the process working for him, mainly because they know that he can be a lot. They know he's a good guy and all that stuff, but it's one thing to view him as your brother or your brother-in-law or your cousin or your boy. So it's like, yeah, as my boy, he's great. As my brother, he's fantastic. As a husband, he's going to be a bit much. And that's why, again, I think that he should not be on the show. He needs to be on some other show where you meet with a matchmaker and you go on some dates. He needs to learn how to be a boyfriend. So I don't think it made sense for just to kind of jump him in there like, oh, you've never been in a relationship before? Here, be a husband. I don't think that was a good move for him, but I like that they're supportive of him, but I also like that they're being honest and real, like, he's a lot, and whoever he's with needs to be super, super patient with him because, I don't know, he's a lot. He's a lot of energy. He's very demanding. I don't think he's being realistic with what a marriage is going to look like, and obviously everybody's marriage is different, so I understood them being, kind of concerned. And his sister-in-law said, he's a lot, but he's tameable. I don't think that's the way to really describe a man. No man or woman wants to be tamed. I didn't really like that, the way she worded that. She also didn't say that in front of him, which is probably smart. And he, he's the one that had an alter ego named Isaac not 2 years ago, but back in the day, I guess when he was in college. Isaac is his middle name, and he's the one that just kind of slept around with whoever, cheated on whoever, like just had a bunch of fun. And now I'm ready to settle down. I'm ready to leave all my selfish ways behind me. I've never had to consider someone else other than me. I'm ready to do that. It's one thing to say you're ready to do that. It is very hard to put into practice, even after dating somebody for a year. Sometimes you still forget to think about them when you're doing certain things. I've been married now for 8 years, with my husband for 18 years, and there are times where I'll still order food and may forget to order him something, and it turns into a big old thing. I go, so you didn't think I'd be hungry? It's like, ugh. But I digress. This isn't about me. I say all that to say that comes with time, that comes with practice. So it's one thing to say that's what I want, but it's so much harder to actually start doing it. And granted, he may come in with the best intentions, but you've never had practice doing that before, you're going to mess up a lot. And granted, the average person should be like, oh, you're right, I need to be patient with this person. But it's like most women at this age, because she's 30, he's 29, most women at by the age of 30 have had a couple of relationships. So the things, again, that he's going to have to learn are things that she's going to automatically expect him to know how to do. So I don't know what that's going to look like one thing I did say is that she wants to start a family, and so does he. And she keeps saying, like, I'm not getting older. My ovaries aren't getting any younger. And I'm ready to have a family. And so I need to settle down. Like, I'm ready. She's not mentioning I want to be loved necessarily. She really wants kids. So she's saying I need a relationship. Or I need a marriage so I can have kids. All these other men I'm meeting, they want to play games. They're not, interested in that. And so I don't even know if she really wants love and wants a husband so much as she's like, oh, you're supposed to get married and then have kids. So I want kids, so I need to get married. But again, I could be wrong. I could be misreading that, but that's kind of the way it came off a couple times last night. So, okay. And let's see. He wants to live happily ever after, but he's really nervous. Both families are a little doubtful. And her family warns her to focus on his character just in case she's not attracted to him at the altar, which I think is fair. He broke down in tears in his tux before he walked down the aisle. And my mom said that she thinks he's crying from fear. And I think there are probably a couple things to be afraid of here. I think that he might be afraid of... I think the main fear is that he's afraid of failing as a husband. When people claim that they want something so bad and they really want to knock it out the park and this is what I want and blah, 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 they put so much pressure on themselves to be perfect. So if the first time that they're not being perfect, they kind of shut down. And I think because he claims he wants this as much as he does, that's why he cried. But I love that his groomman took him aside, was like, yo, we got you, man. We got you. It's okay to be nervous. He's like, if you weren't nervous and anxious, you wouldn't be human. He's like, these are normal feelings and we're not going to let you fall. And I love when men show up for each other like that. I love when a man, not just when a man cries and is in touch with his feelings, I love when he has chosen the right men to be in his life that make him comfortable enough to show that side of him. That is so incredibly crucial. It's the same thing with women. If you are emotional or you are crying or you're pissed off or whatever, you need to make sure you have the right kind of people around you who won't stifle your feelings, who won't laugh it off and try to get you out of your phone, but who will allow you to feel what the heck you need to feel, who will make an environment comfortable for you that you can be yourself. That is crucial and critical. So I love that he had that in his boy. I thought that was cool. She walked down the aisle by herself, and when he saw her, he said, whoa, under his breath. So he was like, he called her beautiful repeatedly, and then he fished for a compliment. This is all before the preacher said a word. He's like, oh, man, you're beautiful. You're gorgeous. He's like, do I look okay? I mean, you didn't say anything. She's like, oh, no, you're handsome. You're handsome. And I was like, dude, like, give her a moment. She's still catching her breath. She's still discombobulated a little bit. Like, chill out. So one thing I thought that was interesting, well, I did write down that I think they're a very attractive couple. And he's the one where his wife needs to cook for him. That is a non-negotiable, that she has to be able to cook. So when that was mentioned in, not his vows, but like the family wanted her to know that, oh, he's really looking for someone that can cook. Her family started laughing and giggling, and she gave them a look and was giggling with them. I don't know if that means, that, oh man, she can throw down the kitchen, or, oh, you got the wrong one. So I don't know what that means just yet. That doesn't really bode well for him if she can't cook. But it was interesting because he kept stressing like, no, that's a non-negotiable. That's important to me, blah, blah, blah. But as soon as the family started laughing, he looked at her, and instead of looking like, oh my gosh, you can't cook, he was like, you know what, we'll figure it out together. We'll figure it out together. It's like, oh, we're changing our tune now. Now that you see her and you see how fly she is, he's like, no, we'll work on it. We'll figure it out. It's like, oh, okay. So I thought that was interesting. And he sounded sincere when he said he hopes, he said, he sounded sincere when he talked about protecting her and making her happy. So obviously, all we can do is hope that he is telling the truth about that. He also is the first husband so far this season that asked his wife if he could kiss her. Everybody else went for it, but he asked her can I kiss you? I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that from him either, but he did it. And it was funny. The editors of the show are so shady with the way they cut some of these scenes. So after they get married, they're, go off by themselves for a little bit, drinking champagne, kind of asking each other questions, get to know each other. He was talking a mile a minute, yo, I'm telling you, I'm going to put 100% of myself into this. And, if I'm messing up in any way, please tell me. Because, I can't improve if you don't tell me. I really want to put my all into this. This means so much to me. I'm excited. And she was like, yo, I can tell he's a lot. His energy is very high. It's very hyper. And, she said his personality is strong and she hopes that she can handle him. I feel like she will be able to handle him. I think she's not going to be afraid to speak her mind. She doesn't seem like she's the type of person that won't speak her mind. And I think that him talking that much and being that hyper, I think a lot of that is nervousness. So I think once they're actually, do the honeymoon thing and come back and settle into their real life, I think things will calm down a little bit for him. I still don't know. I don't know. I'm not overly confident in not even in his intentions. I think his intentions are good. I'm not overly confident in his execution just because of his lack of experience when it comes to relationships. So I don't really know what that looks like. Also, with her, I'm concerned that she's only looking for someone to give her a family. She's not necessarily trying to find love and not really focus on that, which means she may not necessarily be focused on him. So I don't know. Anything is possible on the show. But that's what happened last night. Next week, the final two couples will get married, and I'm sure they'll show more of the reception from the other three couples. And yeah, it's going to stretch on. This whole series stretches on for at least 16, 17 weeks. So you guys, this is the beginning of you seeing me. So hopefully you enjoyed the review and recap. Talk to me down below. Did I miss anything that you wanted me to address? What did you guys think of the dresses that you saw last night, of the tuxes that you saw last night? What do you guys think of the possibility of these couples, making it to decision day? What do you think they're going to say? Yes, no, maybe. Let me know your comments. Let's talk about it, okay? So thank you guys again for joining me. I'm Mama to Wife of One, and I will see you guys next week.